Hi, so I wanted to do a video about replacing the horns in my DeLorean. There's some information online, but it's mostly all text with, I don't want to say not very good descriptions, but some aspects are could be kind of vague. So I wanted to kind of just make the tutorial I wish that I had starting this. It wasn't actually too hard in hindsight. But and actually didn't take too much stuff to do. At least the method I used, I didn't have to splice into much of anything. But basically, the horns, as a lot of DeLorean owners know, if they're original, the original horns. They're very they're very weak and probably dead by now. Modern day horns use like a full 12-volt line. I don't know all the details, but basically the DeLorean weren't, in older cars weren't exactly that way. So if you want to use some newer horns, you have to use a relay to switch on that full 12-volt battery power. So I used a method online that was, again, documented in text on a couple forums to install some new horns. So I got these guys. I guess one thing you got to make sure you do is get the low tone and the high tone. Don't get two of the same because it'll just sound wrong, since horns have that dual tone sound to them. So anyways, pick up something like this. These are, I don't know, like I think $15 a piece or something like that. I can't remember, maybe $10 a piece, but something like this, two of these guys. And then you want basically the same, I think it's 40 amp, 30, 40 amp relay that the rest of the DeLorean uses, or at least the other 7 are like this in the back. See if I can focus on this for you. There we go. So this basically is the same, these are the same relays, the Bosch relays, same spec. She's made by Tyco. Tyco bought Bosch, I think, or at least bought the rights to their relays. And as you can see there, that's the number. I recently replaced my my relays and just use a bunch of these guys. It's the exact same thing as what you would get from one of the vendors, but just actually a little bit cheaper. I like to use the vendors, but not when the prices are pretty high for something that's just standard off the shelf like this. So anyways, that's the relay setup. So you'll need a relay. You'll need some pretty thick, I don't remember what gauge this is, but something thick enough to safely handle the 12 volts coming from the battery. Couple extra bits of wire. These are not as important, I suppose, but let's see. You probably could use a multimeter. I used it just to check, make sure what I was getting was 12 volts or ground or whatever. So basically, the idea is you kind of follow what the diagram says that you get with the horn. And there's two kind of setups here, but the one that we're looking for is the one here on the right. And what this says is that you basically have your relay there with all your different pins as they're shown there. And what you want to do is basically hook up your, what we're going to be doing is, let's see if we can point to this here, the little thing right there basically has a switch, which is when you push to activate your horn on the DeLorean, you basically push this guy in, and that activates a switch, which is just this purple and black wire that comes out of the back of that switch. There's only one wire that comes out of it. The other side is grounded in the switch. So all you really have is just this wire that comes out. As you can see, what I've done here is I've cut it because I want to splice something in there. So as you can see here, we have that switch right there. And what this is saying is that you basically want one end of the switch attached to your 12 volt, and then the other side of the switch going to 85 on your relay, which is how I have it set up. And you also want another line coming from your 12 volt, which is basically, this is the line we're running from the battery, right here, number 3, running through a fuse, 10 amp fuse, from the battery going to pin 30. that's basically what we throw through the horn when the switch is activated. So the switch flips, and then the real power is drawn from the battery through the horn. And so it also says here you want to ground 86, so you just ground that. I haven't really found a really good spot to ground it yet, but I just kind of have this guy ready for, I might try to attach it here. Man, this thing doesn't like to focus. Right here, there's a couple little spots. I think those are 1/4 inch bolts. And I might be able to do that because I think this plate is grounded. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes, but anyways, that's what you use your multimeter for. So that 86 there is your ground, and the 87 is going out to the horn. Now again, the way the DeLorean horn is set up is basically just this one purple cable coming out from here. So what we want to do is we want to cut this. So what I've done here is I've cut it, and we're running this one side. Basically, this is the side coming from the switch into the relay. So that's right here, coming from the switch, going into 85 of the relay. And on basically the other side of that cable, which goes directly to the horns, the other side of this purple cable right here, we want to instead run, instead of, again, we're splicing into this, so we want the side from the horns coming into 87 here, as you can see, from the horn into 87. So hopefully that that should be very clear as to how you should set this up. And I guess I'll go over a little more detail about how I have all the wires going in here. But I guess also one last thing here is, so again, I mentioned that we have this fused line coming from the battery, and that's essentially this red cable. And it runs from the relay here. I gave a lot of slack just so I could make sure there's enough room. It basically runs through the center here. Actually, sorry, it runs up through the top here. Let me get in here so I can show you.